And we are live. Howdy, crafters. Big D here. I also have a special guest with me here. You can call him Little D or whatever, but this is my boy Wolf.
Hi.
It's my guy. And we're painting tonight. We are working on Warcry. I am really trying to get my Warcry stuff up to speed. Um, Wolf here is hey, what's up, Chris? Um, so we're working on Warcry. I've got Wolf here. He's using some basic contrast paints, and he's going to paint the harpies of the chaotic beast. We're going to get them all red, and then we're going to do some detail work on them. And I am currently working on my Iron Golems, because those are going to be the primary guys I play until I get my Unmade. I've already done most of my terrain for Warcry, so I've got it built. I got to do some dry brushing and stuff, but it's pretty much done. And we're talking about gaming on a whole. We're talking about 40K. We're talking about age. We're talking about Warcry. What we like and what we don't like. And camera's kind of jumping around, but we're here. All right. So Wolf and I were having a conversation just before we got on, talking about what we like and don't like about gaming, what we like and don't like, what parts of wargaming we like. Wolf is a huge fan of lore. I mean, he's all about the lore. Lots of background history, and there's always a story behind everything he does, every figure, every piece. I mean, he's the guy that's going to build a Chaos Army, and he's probably going to have half of the rank and file guys named in his Chaos Army. That's Steve, and that's Steve. Yeah, no. And I might name a couple of my commanders. I have an overall mentality for it. I do that in Kill Team. I mean, that's the one thing I like about Kill Team. You really make you boil down, and if you really want, you can get into the nuts and bolts of your character. And I'm a rule of cool guy, so I want my stuff. I don't care if it's the most combat effective. I want it to be the best cool to me. So that's why I play Space Wolves, because they're not great for competitiveness, but gosh, they are awesome. So yeah. So like the Iron Golems, I'm painting them because they'll be fun to have. It'll be great to have an extra army lying around. But otherwise, I'm going to be playing the Unmade. These guys are going to be there for when other people want to play, or if I, for whatever reason, just don't want to play the Unmade that day. But I'm getting my Unmade on Friday or Saturday, and that's going to be my army. And Wolf here, he actually really likes the Untamed Beast, so he's going to eventually painting them, but he's a little unsure of his painting, and so I'm having him practice on the Chaotic Beasts so he can get used to using contrast paints. Because don't believe the hype. It's not, and they're done. There's still some work. There's still some going on to it. And Wolf, you've got one based. What are you thinking? I mean,
I like it. Feels like there's gonna need to be a lot more to it.
Well, you're gonna have to do detail work in that. I mean, you can't just like dunk and go. Hi, Casey.
Well, hi, Casey.
So
I'm not in frame because the camera's.
Yeah, unfortunately, the camera's kind of set in my thing here. I can move over a little bit, and we can get the boy over here.
All right.
So, hi, William. So yeah, this is paint night. Tuesday's gonna become a regular paint night, and even the nights. Hang on. Yeah, Chris, I have seen that from time to time. There are some people that are experienced players that want to help other people. I mean, we were at the store and I'm like, oh, come on, let's talk. Let's, see what we can do. I want to help new players along because my whole thing is if there's more people that you teach to play a game and everybody's playing the game and teaching each other to play the game better, when you're playing casually, if everybody's playing casually and they're all playing well, that means if you want to actually have like a competition, it's not a foregone conclusion. It's like anybody can win this if they've got good tactics. And that's a big deal. I didn't get good at wargaming because I sat with the minis and played against myself for days and days and days on end. I actually learned from a lot of other players, a lot of good players, playing against quality people, learning the rules. His uncle Thomas, really great rules digester. That's one of the things that he taught Wolf is this real ability to just read rules and digest them and understand them and remember them. Not everybody can do that. I can't. I got to actually sit down, put the figures down, roll some dice, see what's going on, figure it out, do it a couple times. Casual leagues are a really good thing for that. Here's the thing. You don't have to play high-end point games to understand the game. And that's another thing is that everyone wants to throw 2,000 points down. Yeah, and that's the thing. One of the things I really did, and this is for 40K, but you can do it in AOS as well. There's a thing called an escalation league. And you can call it escalation league or escalation game. And it's basically you're going to play a series of games over a couple of weeks. And you basically play the same points, like 500 points, for a couple of weeks in a row. And that's 500 points, a small army. And then like the next week, after like 4 weeks, you play 4 weeks at 1,000 points. So you're getting used to making the team bigger, and you get used to growing your army. That I've learned more. I've been in an escalation league where this week will be our second week of 1,500 points, and I have learned more playing the last 2.5 months than I can say the 4 months before that. That tournament that I was in recently that I showed the medal that I got the medal for, I learned a lot playing that. And we were helping each other in the game. It's like, oh, no, don't do that. That's not cool. That sucks for you. You should do this, that type of thing. I mean, even when you're playing competitively, if you're not playing like, I must win at all costs, you still got to be like a good sport about stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's on the part of experienced players to teach younger and newer and not experienced players. It's their job to teach them because we need people to play with, I mean, going off the wargaming end of it and going back to role-playing games, if I didn't teach people how to play D&D, I wouldn't have anybody to play D&D with. Mm-hmm. I love D&D. It was my loving D&D that got me to teach Wolf and his sibling to read at a very young age, because I was of the opinion if you can't make a character, you can't play. So you want to learn how to play this game, you want to play, here's the real rule book, learn how to build a character, what your character can do, and when you do that, we'll sit down and we'll play a game, even if it's a simple game. This guy was 6 years old and he was playing D&D because that's what me and his Uncle Thomas told him. And he was like, came back with the characters, like, I want to play this guy. And, well, as some of you in this channel know, because Wolf.
Ray's fine. They know me as Ray.
So he runs a bunch of online games using Roll20. And he's constantly talking to new people about gaming and trying to spread the word of gaming and being an ambassador for gaming on a whole. And that is a big thing. I know I've done a lot of 40K kill team Games Workshop content lately. But remember, I think of gaming as gaming. So role-playing games, wargaming, miniatures gaming, all that, those all come together for me. So that's the way I look at it. I mean, when I started building terrain, I started building it for my D&D game. Yeah, and there you go. And that's the other thing. You got to be willing to spread your wings a bit too. I mean, that's a big thing. I love 40K, but Warcry is Age of Sigmar. Now, I go back. I talked about this last week. You too, Chris. Hey, if you're going to be at the store this weekend, we're going to try and pop by Friday night and Saturday. So let me know. I'd love to see you. Sit down, maybe talk some more. But yeah, gaming, I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to gaming. And one of the things I like about it is that you got to change things up. Hi. Umiko. Yumiko. Oh, Umiko. Okay, hi. Yeah. Can everybody hear me okay? I mean, I'm still getting used to this new setup. Is everybody? You guys can all hear me okay, right? So I mean, I look at it like gaming. I mean, I started off. Okay, good, cool. I look at gaming like I started gaming when I was 8 years old. My oldest brother bought me the original D&D Expert box set when I was 8 years old, and I love that game. And by the time I was in junior high, I had Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I was playing that, and I saw the games. I didn't think anything of it. Like, oh, there's other games. There's this, there's other weird games. Ah, those are dumb. They're not D&D. Ah, they're dumb. And then I went in the military. I grew up, went in the military, and I got out. And I was like, I'm ready to game. And I mentioned D&D, and all of my roommates looked at me like, what? Who the hell plays D&D anymore? So we started playing like superhero games and weird psychic fantasy and vampires and werewolves and all these other games. And I knew stuff from D&D that kind of came over to these other games. And if you need to rinse the brush, just put it in the water, rinse it out some, and then wipe it off. Because remember, this stuff is going to thick. We're also talking about contrast paints here because Ray Wolf here really hasn't painted much lately. And I want everyone that knows him to let him know he's doing a good job, because he is not a confident painter. He's really not. And I've got him just putting a nice red even coat with this contrast, which will get the nooks and crannies and make some color variations in there and make it look more like a natural color coat. He really doesn't do a lot of painting. He doesn't feel real confident about it. I have him doing this to get used to using the paint, and these look really good. And these are going to go on the gaming board and be part of the game, part of the family game set. So we're going to put more details on them, but painting is, some people are really intimidated by it. See, look at that. Here's the thing. Painting is a skill. It is something you have to do. What'd you say?
Nerds.
Yeah, nerds. Painting is something that takes a while. I've been painting for 30 years. 30 years. Probably close to 30 years. And I still have a lot to learn. Nice, Ben. Nice. That's right. Ray Prime, start over. So, I've been doing this for 30 years. So, I'm working on a lot more, and I still got a lot to learn. And, you know, I'm loving how these came out. And I'm already seeing ways I can make these even better. Like I want to highlight them. I want to do some stuff with them. But it's all about learning how you do it. And I mean, that's why I do this channel. I actually want to do some paint tutorials to teach people some of the basic ways I learn to paint. Thank you. And it's simple stuff. I mean, you don't have to be with a little tiny brush going there for hours. Honestly, I painted an entire box of terrain. Child, I have another child here. Hand me the box of terrain there. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So these are actually all the stuff I've completed so far for the set. Take your cord.
Meh.
And I've completed this part of the set. They're just waiting to be sealed. And this took a couple hours. Really not a lot of effort.
I haven't seen these yet. They look cool.
They're just a matter of learning some basic techniques and doing them that way. So, and that's the thing. It's all about learning those techniques, those basic techniques. Ben, who is in there, he and his brother are both a pair of really great painters. I love their stuff. They don't paint things the way I do, and that's good. I don't want Ray to paint things the way I do, because I want him to paint the way he feels comfortable painting. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're painting minis. I think, you know, there's lots of people who tell you, oh, there's this way and there's this technique and this way. And exactly, you want to be able to express yourself in the way that fits how you work. I don't do really clean, sharp, edge highlight detail miniatures. My miniatures look grimy and dirty and battle worn and kind of dark and gritty because that's how I like them to look. That's how I want my miniatures to look. I tried doing one of those edge highlighted, super sharp detail, you know, box art type figures, and I absolutely hated it. And I ended up taking like a half a bottle of wash and dumping it over there because it just, you know, that's the thing. I didn't like that. I didn't like that sharp look. Now, if that's what I was going for, that's one thing. There's a guy out there that I follow. I wish I had his name. I wish I had his Instagram. I watch him on Reddit. He's been doing a set of, he's been doing a full Tau army. But if anybody's familiar with the Borderlands series of video games, he is painting the Tau army in that style. So they almost look like they're cell shaded and they're all at an angle, and it's just this crazy looking paint style. And they're really great. And if you're familiar with the Tau, they are basically anime mecha dudes. I mean, they look like hard suits and mecha suits. So it really looks sharp. I don't have the patience to paint that. And I'm not really crazy about Tau either. I bought a unit of Tau to try and paint them. I
Put them into pieces and make them as part of the kit bash.
Yeah, I made one. Yeah, they do kind of look like Gundams. They really do. It's crazy.
Like about the Xenos stuff.
Yeah, Xenos, all for the greater good. I like the way they're supposed to play, but the problem is that I bought like one kit of them. I built one of them, and I'm like, they're so tiny and weird, and they all look exactly the same to me. I'm too used to my Marines, which are big guys, and you can tell what their guns are. It's a rocket launcher, that's a bolt gun, that's a flamer. They look like something. All of their weapons look like boxes with holes in them. I don't know. I might get into playing them eventually. I got way too many wolves to worry about first. But this gets us back what we're talking
Why do
about.
the beast have knives?
What?
the beasts have knives.
Yeah, they're harpies or sturges or something. Yeah. Here's the thing. This gets back to what he and I were talking about before we came on the air. I love 40K because 40K is the kind of game I like. It's tactical. It's guys with guns, and I'm putting down suppressive fire, and I'm taking out targets and moving to get to places. Age of Sigmar is more of melee focused. There's not as much range combat, and that's kind of what he wants to play Age of Sigmar, because he likes the big military hand clash, two armies pile into each other with swords, and that's what he likes. And so he's wants to play that. So we're gonna be probably painting up that box of Age of Sigmar real soon, and get that going when my walls are done.
Doing your freaking
There's a lot of stuff you got to do after your rolls are done, though.
But on the other hand, that's one of the reasons why we like Warcry. Warcry, from everything I've been reading in the rules, and I've been reading these rules, and I like and dislike this rule book.
Yeah, doesn't it not have the point?
One of the things I don't like about it is that it doesn't have point values for armies in it, unlike the Kill Team book. And that's because Tabletop Minions, Uncle Adam at Tabletop Minions made a very good point. I don't like the rule book because I was expecting it to be something else. It's not what I expected it to be. Warcry is its own game. It is different. It's not Fantasy Kill Team. It is totally different. The only thing that's similar is it's a squad. Some people are expecting it to be more like Mordheim or other type of squad tactical games, and that's not what the game is. It's very different. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all the rules because it's very different, but it's very melee, which is interesting because, like the Stormcast, the big faction of Age of Sigmar, you're using mostly their range units, which they don't have very many of. So what's up with that? So it is what it is. But that's the thing. Warcry, it's a melee-based game. It's a lot more about melee. It's about your melee, your reach of your melee, how many attacks you get. So, and when you activate, and I'm still trying to get all the rules down. So, but it's cool. And it's more his speed because that's what he likes. I like Kill Team because I can put two guys back and snipe and then run two guys around to kind of take people down.
Inquisition.
All
Alright, this should be the last one on this line.
right, cool. So he's getting this group done. He's doing more painting than I am tonight. That's okay. I've done a lot of painting the last few days. I got that entire set done. So the other part of gaming that's, I think, the draw is the story, the lore. I mean, and a lot of times it gets kind of overlooked. D&D was all about telling a story, and the main characters are the characters of the book. That's you're collectively writing it, and you're telling that story. And I mention it that way because one of my longest term old D&D campaigns actually became a set of books that I wrote, that I published. The first two in the series, at least.
That was the one I was telling you about, Chris.
So, and I think that's the narrative D&D started with. I think it's a narrative. I really think that's the narrative D&D started with, and that's why you see a lot of those games they got big with the novels, like the whole Drizzt series for Forgotten Realms, and the Dragonlance series of books, obviously. And now you've got a war game in Warhammer 40K that has a series of books. I think the Horus Heresy is now up to like 160 books in this series, telling a story about how little plastic dudes with guns shot each other and why they're shooting each other. I mean, so I think the story is as important. Maybe not to everybody. Some guys just want to take some plastic, put some paint on it, put it on a board, and kill other people. I want to tell a story. And I want my figures. I want my figures to tell a story. So that's why I like Space Wolves, because they are their own heroes. They literally, the story behind the Space Wolves, that they are, each one of them sees himself as a hero going forth to tell his saga. And they do what they do to make themselves great or die trying. And that's, to me, that's cool. The whole Viking Skald, adventurer, unafraid of death. I mean, that's just really cool. That, and they really don't have a Slavic set of Marines. I mean, at one point I was thinking about doing my own chapter of Marines, back when there was 6 chapters of Marines and you had to create your own. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The Space Wolves are Vikings. Yeah, and you know, that's stories. Stories are the best part. I think the story you're trying to tell, the narrative campaigns. That's one of the things I really like about the 40K thing, and I see they're doing that now with more with the Age of Sigmar. They've got these narrative campaigns that you're telling a story with your figures, that this has to happen and this fight happens because this, and this army's going to lose this fight. You're going to play the losing army in the long run. You're going to die, but you can win because you made them make this much. And there's different achievements and different tactics to try. So I like narrative campaigns in that respect. I'm actually trying to write a narrative campaign because we've got 3, soon 4 40K players in this house. And I play with a number of people that a couple of you are watching tonight. I actually have an idea for a narrative kill team campaign where it would be like there's a series of objectives and people fight over those objectives to an end game. And it comes down to a piece on piece, like which, if you were to do this, you would need a bigger unit army, like the full layout, the 20 guys on your list, but you're only playing X number of points at the time you play. Each time you play, oh, this guy's injured. So, I mean, they've got the narrative rules in there. And I'm working on an idea for a campaign based on some of the early lore of 40K when I first started playing back in the early 90s. So we'll see what comes of that. But that's why I do this. So I do this channel. So I'm building stuff. Other news. I'm going to change topics here a little bit. My video this week is actually going to be about this. A couple weeks ago, I reached out to a couple different MDF manufacturers, a couple different guys that make MDF terrain. And the first guys to send me stuff, Prometheum Forge, sent me these. These are going to be a bunch of chemical tanks. Use soda cans. So I can't wait to put these fully together and show you guys what they look like, because they're really, really cool. So we're gonna build one. Just build it from start to finish in one build and see how it goes. You got all 4 of them painted there?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a peek. Let's take a peek. Yeah, nice even coat. Look at that, nice even coat. Oh, that looks great.
Where's the gold?
It's going to be in the
It's not
metallic.
in there.
Oh, then I don't know, baby.
Mm.
So yeah, we got them nice and red here. We're going to let these dry, and then we're probably going to pick out some pieces using regular paints and shade them, and then probably give the whole things a nice shade to kind of darken and bring in the ridges and stuff. So again, the thing with contrast, don't believe the hype. It's not just dump it on and go. Like, these guys all have metal weapons, so we're going to probably paint them like steel colored. And a couple of them are sitting on rocks, so we're going to paint those gray and shade them up. Well, I shouldn't say we. He is going to do it.
Now, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait.
Because we're going to get him back
Go
into
back.
painting.
Do you have any bright purple contrast paints?
I do not have any bright purple contrast paints. I do
That
not.
makes things so much easier.
I know. I don't have any bright purple. I might have some the next time I go to the store. I might have some the next time I go to the store. But you can't do bright purple on those anyhow. Those are primed in black. You
I
can't.
know, I mean, at some point.
Well, yeah, at
Like,
some
when I do my
point.
next one, because I can't find my goals, so I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out what next.
You know, you do realize I'm live, right?
I know.
All right.
I'm trying to be quiet about it.
No, but you're having a conversation with
Sorry.
me. Here's the other thing, and I'm going to talk about this, and this is really cool, and this is one of the things I really like about this whole situation. Talked about a little bit in one of my editorials. Gaming is a family activity. Gaming is not something you do to get away from everyone. I mean, by its nature, it's a social thing. So being able to game with your family is a good thing. I'm super lucky. I've got my oldest, my youngest, my wife.
Don't talk about me like I'm not here.
You're not here. We all game together. We war game together. We role play game together. We board game together. We
He
game.
cheats, just to let this be said.
We game together. I firmly believe gaming is a family activity. Ben knows this to be true. So I say this to my younger viewers. I do cheat. Of course I cheat. I have to. I'm terrible. Here's the thing. I say this to my younger viewers. When you're trying to hang out with somebody and be cool with somebody, you want to be able to share an interest with them. If you're passionate about gaming, they should either be at least interested in it. If not passionate about it, at least interested in it. Because you don't want to be that person, and I'm going to put this in terms it's not gaming. You know, when you got 4 or 5 people that are really love football, and they talk about football, they're football, oh, hand egg, football, and they're talking about that. And you're the person over here that goes, I hate football. When they're having that conversation and they get excited and they're talking about it and they're sharing and they're getting excited and passionate and talking, and you're not part of the conversation, you're excluded. When you care about somebody and you want to spend time with them, whether I'm talking about your significant other, whether you're talking about your kid, whether you're talking about your best bud, you want to have interests you can share. And the more time you have with them in your life, the more interests you want to share. Because honestly, I know couples that don't do anything together, and I don't understand how that works. I don't have a problem with people having different interests. Like, there's stuff she does that I just don't get into. I mean, I like anime, and I like small amounts of manga. She loves manga, and she will read the crap out of manga and read it for hours. And then she will tell me about the manga she read.
For just about the same amount of hours.
Right.
Also, on that note, as if any of you viewers happen to be a manga fan, I highly recommend the series called Red River. That being said.
Okay. So Red River, if you're into manga, read Red River.
It's good.
No, we're not a manga channel. So here's the thing. I like anime. And I like small amounts of manga, but I'm a very specific genre kind of guy. But that's okay. It's okay that she has something she's passionate about that we do apart. having something we'd like to do apart when we're not together is good. Having something we like to do together gives us something to talk about, gives us something to do, gives us something to commiserate about. Teaching my kids the game gave me an excuse to not ignore my children. And trust me, those of you that know them know they should be ignored. But
At least one of them.
Both of them.
yeah, I mean, not ignoring them. I mean, being able to spend time with my kids, doing things we both enjoy together. It's good. I mean, I think we've got a strong bond because of that. And it's cool because we can be talking in the car, driving along, going to school, going to work, and talk about stuff that isn't always dark and depressing every day. You know, hey, some politician did something really horrible, or some new study came in. No, let's talk about the emperor and why he has two sons that nobody knows what their names are. You know, yeah, you know. So I look at gaming. Long story short, too late. I look at gaming as a family activity. So, which is why one of the reasons we built the bench. So I can sit down having one or two people next to me, and we as a family can sit down and paint together. Or we have the big table behind us, and we can sit down and game together. It's one of the reasons we like going to the local gaming store, and we'll bring our stuff and we'll paint there. We've got everything we need to paint right here. But we go there to hang out with people. Because in the end, gaming is a social experience. So we don't have to always be ourselves. We can pretend to be other people that we're playing, but at least we're being around other people. And I guess that's why I like gaming. I guess that's why I don't like video games as much. I used to like video games a lot. And I realized what I liked about video games. I liked player 2. I liked player 3 and 4. Because we could all sit down and play a game together. I hang out with my guys.
And then he cheats.
Would you stop?
Negative.
Or playing City Heroes, playing World of Warcraft, playing Rift, playing online games with groups of people. And I stopped playing online games when I stopped playing with other people. Because if I'm going to do something by myself, I'm going to get some time out of it. I'm going to get something to show for it, not just pixels. Plus, you know, $15 a month, that's 3 pots of paint. So that's a can of primer. Or the primer I buy, it's 3 cans of primer. I have an entire room in my house, as you can see behind me, dedicated to the gaming of this household. And the whole reason I ran this channel is I love the gaming and love to teach other people how to build stuff. Where to look for stuff, where to get ideas for stuff, how to do stuff. People have thought, oh, I can't do that. Did you watch my crystal video? Did you see how I did that? Because those crystals were no work and they look great. And if you want to make your table look great, you can make those. You go back a couple episodes and you look how I made some chain link fences. And those chain link fences are pennies to make and an hour of work, and you've got chain link fences for days. I'm kind of getting used to this whole streaming thing, where it's kind of stream of consciousness and have something I want to talk about and have things going on. And I kind of dig this. I want to make this a regular thing. I think we talked about that a bit too last week. So, and Wolf here is going to be a regular part of this from this point forward. He's going to be a regular part of this because we're going to get him painting more minis. We're going to turn him into a real painter. Now, here's the other thing, and I've been thinking about this, and again, stream of consciousness. We've been talking about taking some of the games we play once we've got everything painted up and we're playing everything on a regular basis. Yeah, he is a monster. He's a monster. I want him to be a monster. I'm a monster. Have you seen this? He's not just a monster. Look, he's not just any monster. He's a wandering monster.
He's free to a good home, just to let you all know.
And you get 2d6 of him plus extra treasure in his lair. But you got to dig through it.
And we're not creating a monster. He's already been a monster.
But yeah, so what we're thinking about doing is that once we get the armies completely done and we're where we want to be, we're going to take some of these boards that we're building and some of this terrain we're building, and we're actually going to try playing some games on the table with the camera watching the table. And maybe not live stream, but we could live stream, or maybe just do some battle reports and go back to that whole teaching and learning thing where we're teaching and learning how to better play our armies and teaching people how to play the games we like to play, whether it's 40K, whether it's Warcry, whether it's Kill Team, whether it's D&D. What do you want? You want more paints?
Yeah.
My stream's kind of getting wonky here, so ultimately this channel is a product of passion and love. So teaching and helping and showing, I think, is Friday Kill Team, we're in. Are you closing on Friday?
No, we'll be there after you show up.
Okay. So Kill Team, Shan will be there. I don't know if she'll be there on time to actually play, but she'll be there at least to mess with people. If he's not working, I'm going to drag him along
Maybe.
for a couple hours just to see how things go. Come on.
I got stuff on Friday. That's
I know.
what on Fridays is up for me.
You guys don't mind if I bring him, do you? You're his gamers. You don't mind.
I mean, you can ask Ruth. He's my GM.
Is Karuth on there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Karuth, can we borrow points on Friday? I'll give him back around 9.
He doesn't mind.
Don't say Ruth, that was Yumi.
All right. So we're going to get back into working on stuff and talking about what we're talking about here. So what we started this all about was talking about Kill Team. Or not Kill Team. See, you got me messed up. Talking about Warcry and how it's a different game than Kill Team. It's not what I expected it to be. And that's okay.
What's the flesh color again? Is it in there?
Yes, it is. It is. Where is it? Where's my flesh?
Should I be painting
Here you go.
normal flesh color?
Dark oak
or
flesh.
Like,
Dark oak flesh. Yes, Umi, you did see a dog. That is Artemis. She is an awful, terrible creature. She is a half Pomeranian, half
Don't mess with my dog.
half Pomeranian, half. That's one of the reasons I've noticed that the armies are pretty balanced. I mean, there's not a variation. If you're playing, if you are playing the Iron Golems, and your buddy is playing the Iron Golems, you're playing the same army, but it's still not the same fight because it's all about how you split them up and put them into different waves. And so again, it's not the same game, and that's okay. I mean, it's a totally different game, and that's cool. And I think box games really are kind of the future of how Games Workshop is going to get more players in. I think it's how they're going to get new players interested. I think that's how they're going to get things going. Because, I mean, they're still doing great. They are they are really, if you saw the stuff they did for Gen Con, that Aeronautica Imperialis game, it's kind of like Titanicus. It's taking something that's usually a really big figure and focus the game on just that, and then making them smaller so that you can play a bunch of them on the board at once. I love the models. I don't know that I need another game, but it looks a lot like I don't know if anybody plays X-Wing, but it looks a lot like X-Wing to me. I mean, that may just be because of the hex board and all that, but it looks a lot the way X-Wing plays. So again, I don't know if it's a game for me, but I think it's a great idea. Blackstone Fortress. I keep thinking about buying that game. I really keep thinking about buying that game. It's a box. It's a self-contained box. It's still pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I think it might be something I end up picking up eventually. That new version of the AOS competitive game. Right now, the second season is Shadespire. I think it's called just Underworlds. I think the game series is called Underworlds, but Shadespire is the second version, and the new one's going to be called Beastgate. Again, it's a contained game. Yeah, no, that's the big thing I really like. I mean, gosh, the minis. Okay, I gotta say, I'm looking at these Warcry ones are a perfect example. Games Workshop has always produced pretty cool looking minis. I mean, they've always been kind of the gold standard of figures. There have been companies that have jumped up and done better figures in the short term. Like, if you just want to paint figures because you want to paint figures and you don't know what Kingdom Death is, you need to go Google Kingdom Death and go look at their figures, because their figures are gorgeous. Just
Those are pants.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful figures. I don't know if the game's actually very playable. I've tried to play a couple test games of it and it just didn't seem very playable to me. But those figures are just beautiful. They're also like, for 4 figures, there's one of the boxes they have. They have a box that has 4 figures in it. 4 guys. It's the same monetary cost as a unit of 10 Marines. No, I can't see paying. I have a hard time justifying buying miniatures sometimes because of the cost. I'm certainly not going to pay for a game where the box set for the game is a like $600 box set. But I love cool minis. I really love cool minis. So buying a single special figure here and there, a $25 figure, because it's a special named awesome figure, I can do that now and again. But I like rank and file guys. I like my rank and file guys to look good. So that's neat. And Games Workshop has always really been the gold standard. These Warcry figures are ridiculous. The detail on them. The Lady Dragon is painting up the Cypher Lords. I know, Ben, you've painted the Cypher Lords. Those figures are so gorgeous. Just little details you don't expect. Some of the newer figures as they come out, they're just, because the technology is advancing, these figures are just stupidly beautiful, and I love it. I want my games to look good. I don't even know where I was going with this, but I just, it's ridiculous how beautiful these figures are. It's ridiculous how these simple figures, these are their basic figures, just look the way they do. There have been some game systems that I have gone, no, because the figures just look like crud. They did not look good to me. There have been other game systems that like, I want to play this game system, and tried playing the game and was like, this is terrible, but these miniatures are beautiful. Games Workshop's got it going on, at least as far as miniature wargaming goes. They're not the only one, but as far as this kind of stuff goes, there's other games. I do play other games. There's if you ever want to play like historical World War II games, Bolt Action, if you want to play squad type, or Flames of War, if you want to play like a game where you're playing armor, like, you know, tanks and armored infantry. Your tanks are like the size of the big, they're like this big. They're like the size of the big 40 millimeter base. They actually, perfect example. The oval bases, the standard oval bases that Games Workshop uses. This is about the size of the tanks you're playing with. And you're playing with squads of these tanks. Those miniatures, they're plastic sprue miniatures. Value is crazy. Your starter box is $50. It's got 2 full armies of American and Soviet tanks in there. Or American and German tanks, I should say. Yeah, it's because it's World War II based. And they're absolutely gorgeous. Miniatures value, man. I want a game that I can sit down and play. Hang on. So we're working on skin here. And hard to tell in this light, but they look good to me. I mean, these look good. So I think he's getting the hang of these contrast paints. Yeah, actually, I'm looking like we're coming up on our 1 hour mark. So I think we're going to also be popping off too. I really want to thank everyone for chopping in. I mean, yeah, the handful of you, it's just great. I like the idea that, you know, as time goes on, maybe get more and more people paying attention. And we can talk about stuff. We're going to call it here. Next week, we've got 3 projects in the queue. And we're going to be painting more stuff. So I think Tuesday paint night is a go. And I had a good time. I hope you guys did too. Anything you could think of on all this stuff we've been babbling about there, Ray?
Not really. So I know you can home at like 6. You might want to start like an hour earlier so you can get a 2 hour in.
Maybe. It's a lot of time streaming.
It is, but I don't know. I feel like that, like a 2 hour period would be a good time for streaming, you know?
Well, we'll see. Maybe if we get some more people, we'll do that. All right. So thank you all for coming. And remember, because that's what I always say, epic your board and epic your game. Game on, folks.